Yeah. Miami. South Beach, bringing the heat. Can y'all feel that?
Welcome back. We're live at the DraftKings Week 1 kickoff in Miami Beach, Florida. And, of course, we've got a couple of big special guests as Mike Cardano's got the foam finger out, the DraftKings #1. We're at the preseason kickoff because it all starts tomorrow. From DailyRoto.com, we have Adam Hummell and, of course, Mike Leone, who's being tagged by a finger.
I don't know what's going on.
What's going on, Adam?
Oh, nothing, man. Just enjoying myself. It's DraftKings just does an incredible job. This is just an incredible event. And as I look around, they did not leave any expense spared. It's just amazing to be here hanging out.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on here. Of course, we had 20 people qualify for the King of Miami tournament, 12,500 entry, $250,000 in prizes, and then 200 other people invited. We got college football going on. We've got a football-sized room of leather couches. We've got laptops and people trying to get lineups together in college football, pro football. This is pretty intense.
Oh, it's out of control. We've got 4 massive projection-sized televisions, and in between each one are a column of 3 widescreen flat TVs. Tomorrow is just going to be out of control.
I don't know where to direct my eyes. There's so much.
I know, that's wild.
You know what it seems to me? They're giving away $250,000. I had to spend at least another $250,000 to just get this.
Oh,
set
at least easily. I mean, you add in the fact that it's an open bar and everybody's going to be drinking. And this is going to be a out of control event. It already is.
That's why they went over the $500,000. The open bar, man.
That's right. Now it's funny, Adam. When did you start Lou Dogs? And when you started it, did you ever have the impression we would get to this in this type of environment?
I don't know. I started it back in 2011, and we just started it as a community for people to talk about, different selections in sports. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd be sitting here with you guys at an event like this. It's just incredible. It's incredible.
Now, I first met Mike Leone, but I didn't really meet him. You just heard about him in the FanDuel chat room when they had a chat room. And then, of course, we're at DraftKings now, and we have all these different daily fantasy sites. Mike, did you ever envision this? I mean, there used to be 100 people in the chat room, and that was a big deal.
Yeah, it's just crazy having been in the industry kind of from its infancy. It's nuts to see the meteoric rise over the past 2 years, and this football season's obviously going to be the biggest of them all. It was an industry you saw a lot of growth potential, but I don't think anyone could quite put a firm picture on where it would end up. I mean, we're having a kickoff party for people to set their lineups, have fun, and play DraftKings. This isn't a live final where you qualify. This is just a party for you to set your lineups, have fun, and I love it. It brings in the camaraderie you see in season long. It brings it to daily.
Have you been to one of these before? This is the first time for me at one of these events, live events. Something like this. It's not a live final.
Right. I've only been to one that's a live final. I haven't been to basically a party where everyone's playing DraftKings, having a good time, watching all the games. They've got it set up so you can set your lineups right here. They definitely have the customer in mind, that's for sure.
You're watching on the Fantasy Sports Network. We're live from South Beach, Florida. DraftKings Week 1 kickoff, and it's a big, big event here. We have millions of people that want to be here and about 2,000 people that are going to be here, and only like 300 people were invited. We got 1,400 that just crashed the party, and it's a great, great opportunity to make some money here. Mike, of course, we're kicking off Daily Fantasy Football 2015. Last year we saw $1 million extravaganza, and all the industry was like, every week DraftKings is going to give out $1 million. They took it a little further, $10 million Week 1.
Yeah, with a $2 million grand prize, and last night they announced their live final is going to be a $5 million grand prize, which is just unheard of. I thought we would stop at 1 and we'd see level off, but they're committed to just continuing to push the envelope forward. Definitely not resting on their laurels.
Hey, Adam, talk to me a little bit about the popular forums that they have over at Daily Roto and what people can expect out of those, from those in participating. I noticed when I went on, I didn't type much. I was reading a
Yeah,
lot. I
sure.
was absorbing. I
Yeah.
was afraid to kind of get involved and nibble. Why should somebody get involved?
I think the debate is the greatest part of it. If you have somebody that you like and you throw it out there and you give a reason and some backing behind why you might like a certain play for the night, there's always going to be somebody who has a different view or a different opinion on that selection. So you get into the debate and the nitty gritty of a pick, and sometimes you can get talked off of a selection, but oftentimes you can validate your picks, and it's all free and open, so there's no reason not to use it as a tool.
Now, Mike, you're one of the better players in the daily fantasy industry. I'm going to give you that credit. I'm going to give you that, right? Of course, when you're in a room with this many people that do the same thing you do, are you going to be deterred tomorrow if you hear some scuttlebutt, some talk about a certain player? Is it going to make you sway your opinion? Like you used to do it in your living room of your house. Now you got all these great minds. How's Mike Leone going to handle it?
I think up until roster lock, I'm going to mute everything else out. I really won't be listening to too many outside sources. It is a little intimidating with so many top players at all stakes levels here. It's a little intimidating, so I hope I have a good showing in some of the tournaments, but I'm not going to let them sway me. I've got a process in place that I trust, I'm confident in, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in action tomorrow.
So what happens to you when you come to a place like this and you're with some of your peers who actually do this for a living? Some of these guys make some extraordinary livings doing this. Or if I see you in the forum sometimes yourself on Daily Roto, and somebody brings up a point to you that's contrary to what you were thinking. So now, how do you go? What is your thought process? If I tell you that I like Devin Funchess this week for whatever reason, and I was able to back that up with you. So now, and that was something that you weren't thinking. So now, how do you take that information? Do you go and take that information and then go do your own research on it?
Yeah, so I will test whatever reasoning backup statistics you had for that play. I'll double check and see if it's something I believe in or maybe I just disagree with the reasoning. But it's great to be tested. You want to have all the angles covered. You don't want to go into a tournament 3 hours later go, why didn't I think of that? So I'm okay making a mistake that I've thought of and maybe I just made the wrong decision. Where I really kick myself is if I don't talk to you about Devin Funchess, I don't consider it, and then I see what you predicted to happen come to fruition, and I didn't give it any credence. That's when I kick myself. I want to take everything into consideration and make my decisions. I'm okay being wrong, but I want to at least have considered it.
From DailyRoto.com, Adam Hummell, Mike Leone, of course, Fantasy Sports Network, Mike Cardano, Tony Cincotta. We're live at the Fountain Blue in South Beach, Florida. Absolutely getting it done at DraftKings Week 1 kickoff party. Last night they had a big festivity at the Live nightclub. Now, I don't see many daily fantasy guys as the nightclub kind of guys, but there were a lot of attractions there last night, and I think it would have got me off my PPR, Adam. How did you handle it?
I did a moonwalk last night across the floor. I haven't done one of those since I think I was in 8th grade.
That was the grappa.
Yeah, no, that was before the grappa. After the grappa, I can't really recall. But at the Live, it was incredible. It was just an amazing atmosphere. It's what you would come to expect these days from DraftKings, no question about it.
Now, Mike Leone, he was out there doing the moonwalk. Now, what do you specialize in?
Eating all of the food that was there.
Yeah, he did get eating.
Now, these two guys tried to talk me into going to the ocean at like midnight. I said, I don't go in the ocean when it's dark out. Drew Dinkmeyer's wife was here telling me about ocean lice, and there was sharks, and I'm like...
Ocean lice?
Yeah, you can get lice in the ocean, she told me. I don't know. She looked like a very intelligent woman to me.
Yeah, sounds crazy to me. I did want to go fishing, though, and she talked me off of the fishing expedition at midnight. But
there's a couple of yachts parked right out front here. I've been going on one of those things.
Yeah, no, I saw those this morning. I mean, what do you have to do to be able to get one of those? Mike, you got to get us one of those things.
Well, let's see if I win this weekend.
Now, right. Mike Leone, you might know. You've been around DraftKings events before. They've got like some football things. They got like a cornhole, and they were calling people out for some sort of competition. Like you mentioned the open bar. Are there people here for like athletic events or open bar? Which is it?
Mostly the open bar. But what they do is they have a lot of interactive activities for you to do. I know at the King of the Beach in the Bahamas, they had a batting cage that was a huge hit as part of the party. So they're always thinking outside the box. It's not just, okay, we'll put them in a room with an open bar. I mean, anybody can think of that. They've got giant beer pong outside. They've got cornhole. They've got frisbee toss. So you're going to have fun at one of these events.
It's interesting because I actually met my wife at a bobbing for apples contest, and it was she did a great job, and I married her. It was a great opportunity. So do you have that going on today? Little Halloween activity?
We didn't see any bobbing for apples, but the giant beer pong, the cups are actually trash cans. So it's gigantic. You don't have to drink them, but it is a huge, incredible display of beer pong out there.
So I've been walking around trying to find a consensus here. If there's somebody that people are going to be playing this weekend that everybody thinks maybe not many people have here. And the name that comes up most seems to be John Brown. Now, talk to me a little bit about John Brown and why he may be attractive on DraftKings this weekend to some people. What are the reasons that the number of people here that do this for a living are on to John Brown this week?
Sometimes it's hard to determine the market share of the Arizona Cardinals receivers. So for starters, he's the cheapest of the three. If you're unsure who's going to get the looks, price is very important. Secondly, the Saints defense wasn't very good at all last year. Now their starting secondary has some injuries. Keenan Lewis is out. Jairus Byrd is out. With Carson Palmer back healthy, we're looking for that aerial attack to be good. The concern is that they spread it around so much, but at that price point, there's a lot of upside in a tournament. And he's so cheap at $4,500. You can slot him in your flex as your last cash game guy, too.
So how much validity do you put into the fact that the Saints defense wasn't good last year? That was last year. That's not this year. Week 1 has got to be a little tougher on using some of these assumptions than as you go forward, no?
Yes, and for bankroll management, this is one of the few times a year where my tournament play and my cash game play will be about equal. And part of the reason for that is we don't have a lot of the data that stabilizes in the middle of the season to make decisions off of, and the main piece of that is defensive data. But you can still look at the individual players. Yes, they invested a lot in the draft, but when you've got two key pieces to their secondary injured and they were already that bad last year, there's a good bet they're going to be a below average against the pass week 1.
Now, I got to ask you, Mike. Mike Cardano here has 7 teams, so he's someone to be reckoned with this weekend in the Millionaire Maker. 7 out of 570,000, but he has the Raiders defense, the cheapest defense on the board. They are playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton, much-traveled career, has had some turnovers. Can you go and take that $2,300 defense and win?
I don't think you need to go that cheap week 1. There's so many values with the pricing coming out so early that the edge in getting those extra dollars isn't what it will be week 8 and 9 when the pricing tightens up a little bit. You don't have guys mispriced like Devontae Adams week 1. So for me, I probably won't have any teams that dip that low. I don't mind going contrarian at defense because there's a lot of variance in defensive scoring. You get a pick 6, that's a huge shift. One contrarian defense I like week 1 as a homer, my Buffalo Bills, because I'm looking for a defense that makes big plays. And Andrew Luck attempted the most passes in the league. What that means is more opportunities for sacks, more opportunities for turnovers. He's actually been about league average in turnover rate, so I think that's a good contrarian defense week 1.
When do the prices come out? Like how obviously Devontae Adams is mispriced based on his potential this week on what he's going to be going through. So when do those when do week prices come out? Are they out already?
So usually the week 2 pricing will come out. I believe it is either Sunday night or Monday morning. It's before the Monday night game though. But for week 1, because they want to get the contests up, you want people in them, fill them. When you've got a 570,000 person tournament, you need to give it some time to fill. I believe those were up. Do you know Adam was about a month before
I
the
think
season
so.
started?
Yeah, it seemed like a huge celebration. Everyone got excited. The salaries are out. It seemed like it was probably about a month before.
Yeah, it's amazing how far daily fantasy industry's come because we saw DraftKings go out and make a big deal of the prices are coming out. Yeah. You can go put your lineups in, and it's amazing. We celebrate draft day in the National Football League, and now in the daily fantasy industry, salary prices are like a big day. It's amazing
NFL
what's going
pricing
on.
Day.
Yeah, it's
NFL
amazing what's going on in this industry. And actually, I had somebody write to me this week that wanted to know, in baseball, they can go to baseballreference.com and they can get the DraftKings points. And they were looking for the same thing in football. And I couldn't find it for them, but I said, it'll be out there. I'll find it for you and I'll write back. But that's where we are. Now, instead of getting statistical information, people want how many points they're scoring on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I think there's going to be a lot of companies out there that are very just supportive and can create their own business based off of what's going on in the daily fantasy industry, and that's a good example of people saying, hey, people are paying attention to what's going on with the DraftKings and the FanDuels of the world. What can we do to kind of be a bolt-on to that and offer our own products? I think you'll continue to see that grow as well.
Adam, when people go to the forums on dailyroto.com, what should they expect if they've never been there before? First of all, does it cost anything
for
free. Anybody?
No,
and the other thing is like, is the discussion highly analytical, or is it, are there experts talking, or is it dumbed down for a guy who just wants to play in one tournament and play $5? Can he get something out of it?
Sure.
Are they talking about highfalutin metrics, or are they talking about pricing and value? What is the discussion? What do people find?
Yeah, it's interesting. We have such an eclectic group of people it's a large group of people that are in the forums, and you get some people that are low stakes players and they're not very analytical and they don't get into the details, and maybe they play by gut feeling. And then you got people like Mike and Drew that are in there that are very much so into the details and the analytics of things. So you get the full gamut. High dollar players, low dollar players, people that just research different ways. But I think what happens is eventually, like the newer players that maybe are playing by gut feel, they start to pick up things and they learn, and then they start to win, and then they just dive deeper and deeper, and before you know it, they're turning into be pretty good players in the space.
Great stuff. Adam Hummell, of course, Mike Leone, Mike Cardano, TheTonyCincotta. We've got more coming from you from the Fontainebleau in Miami Beach, Florida, live at the DraftKings Week 1 preview. Stay tuned for more on the Fantasy Sports Network.